Test, test. Hey, what's going on? We're back for another virtual production live stream using the Off-World live streaming toolkit and our awesome shared project, which we've been working on, been creating and building for a couple months now. And it's just an awesome shared project that you can download for free and use in whatever capacity you want, profit or otherwise. And it's just aimed at compositing real life footage. In this case it's a cat, and compositing it into virtual sets with AR foreground elements and other awesome stuff to really get your streams and virtual broadcasts looking not only the best quality but also just giving them some awesome creativity and leaving you room to experiment more without worrying about a lot of the more complex, annoying things that Unreal might throw your way. So this week we're doing post-process effects. So you can see I've got this kind of hologram VHS kind of effect on the talent here, on the cat. And interestingly, it's only affecting the cat. So this is a nice thing about Composure. You can do post-process effects in layers. I've then also got this kind of lens distortion that is going over the whole comp. So you can get really modular and you can layer lots of effects in a kind of similar way to how kind of After Effects or something might work. And what you can do is actually take pretty much any post-process effect that's kind of, you know, might be available on the Unreal Engine marketplace or something like that. Give me 1 second. Yeah, there's a lot of things like cell shading, VHS style stuff, retrofuturism. You know, post-process effects are essentially a kind of 2D effect. After you've rendered all of your CGI, you can then take that video and add some effects to it. You know, it's more like post-process effects in more of the simpler kind of After Effects term of effects. So it's not going on in the 3D space, but it's just affecting 2D imagery. Hey, Virtual Steve, glad you could make it. This stream is definitely going to be really, really great for you. I'm just looking at post-process effects. So as requested, we've got this kind of VHS going on, and we've got also post-process effects going on for the whole comp. And I'm just going to show how you can, how I've set this up, and then also how you can take any post-process effect that kind of exists on the marketplace or whatever, and adapt it so that it can be used with Composure, because it's only a couple small tweaks to kind of change that over. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, anyone who's tuning in live. Feel free to ask questions and butt in, but I'm going to be running through how I'm doing this quickly, and then maybe only like a 45-minute stream this time, so I'm just going to try to smash out as much information as possible. But yeah, thanks for tuning in anyone who's seeing it live, but it's going to be on YouTube. The live stream is just going to sit on YouTube, so feel free to catch up on there as well. So yeah, I'll show you how I did this VHS one first, and I will just show my overall Composure setup. So I'm going to take off this lens distortion one, and take off these ones here for now. And I'll just show you my overall setup really. So the way I've got this comp set up, obviously you can jump in and download this shared project and it will be exactly as what I have here. But I have my overall comp, got my CG elements, I've got a 3D matte which allows me for depth of field, I've got back screen 1 and a talent, second talent plane. And the important thing is how I'm doing my talent, really. Got this media plate here, and this is just taking in a spout input for me, in my case, but you know, you could do this in any way. But yeah, that's the spout input. It's just coming from OBS. And that's media plate number 1, see. So after that input, I'm doing some transform passes. I'm just doing my keying and my despill. That's why that's yellow, because despill changes that. So just doing my keying, and then I've got, you know, a nice image with an alpha channel, so that's cool. So after I've set that alpha channel, I can ignore these other post-process effects because that's what we'll go for in a second. But I've got this render target comp keyed, so that's a render target with the alpha channel, and that's going to go out to this in-game material, so that will give me my reflections and shadows. But then this render target post key that we had down here, this render target post key, if we got that there, that is what I'm feeding into this second media plate, which doesn't give too much of a performance impact at all to add another media plate. That's just going to pick up that same render target. So that's the one I've got here, you know, post key. It's going to have the alpha, and this is just going to do just the transform pass of the owl video plane transform. So that way I've just got it sectioned off, because you want to do any of your effects, like in terms of screen space effects, you want to do it all to this flat plane, or else if you're doing effects to this footage that is being skewed and moved, it can lead to a lot of difficult things. So that's why I have it as two separate ones. So we've got one, and we pump that out as a render target to the input of a second media plate. And that's just in the plane transform. You can do you know, color grades and things at this point. You can choose whether you want to do it here or in the previous one. And then this talent, that's the one that I'm picking in this main transform pass, where you pick all your input elements. So talent, that's going to be my talent. Yeah, so that's how I do the main setup, and that, as I say, that leaves me to do color grading and you know, image effects here, and that is going to pump out to the one that's just doing the video plane transform. So let's look at like the VHS effect for one. This is again part of the shared project. I've just recreated this from a tutorial. It's an awesome tutorial that I can link, but this it's just something I recreated and I've just slightly adapted. But it essentially gives this VHS effect. It does currently flip the footage. Something I can look into maybe in a minute. I can look at fixing that. But you would essentially just create a post-process, and within it you need something that will give this pre-pass. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But then you just got material parameters and stuff, and you know, you can change this stuff on the fly. You know, this is just any parameters you set, you can just set in this material, which is really nice.
Hey.
Hey Steve, how you doing?
Good. I might have some background noise. I'm in the middle of making breakfast for the little ones. I just had a quick question as fast as I type. Could you just open the material quick and just show like
Yeah.
the type of material properties that are is? I think it's, you said it's post-process, or?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I will do. Yeah, so what I've done in this one. So yeah, for the main properties, yeah, material domain, post-process. I also make sure I check this one that is output alpha. And then you make sure you got like a blend mode of, I usually do masked, not translucent, seems to work better for me for post-process materials. This example is a little convoluted because it's a pretty mad material, but essentially this is the thing you want to watch out for, having texture parameter 2Ds. So wherever you have something where it's lifting some previous texture, or it's taking from the viewport, like there's a node called like screen world position or something, you want to swap that out for this texture sample parameter 2D really. And then this I would usually just call pre-pass, so just call it like pre-pass, and that's what I've done here. And that means that this is now a parameter that you can set here as the input elements. And you know, pre-pass just means what's happened before this effect. So you know, this chain is happening here. So pre-pass is just saying grab this image and turn it into this image. So I'll show you another example, which is a cleaner way to show you how to take a post-process material and turn it into like a Composure post-process material, because it's just a slight difference. So I'll show you that now on this one. Where okay, so this is just another example. You can put effects over the whole comp as well as over an individual element. So I've just got this rain material. Again, it's just taking the pre-pass, so it's taking this image pre-rain and adding this kind of rain effect. It's not my favorite kind of rain effect, but it's quite cool. And it just shows that, you know, you can add a separate effect to the overall comp as well as individual elements, which is really nice. But let me show you this lens distortion one, because it's actually quite easy to take a post-process material and just change it for Composure. So it's lens distortion one, which is really nice. You know, you can add a nice bit of distortion, a few parameters, and essentially what I did to implement this into Composure, downloaded this here. You can just make a copy of the whole material, and I'll just add this in instead. So it's going to kind of break it right off the bat, but we can go in here. So what we can do, so this is what I was talking about, this scene texture. So anything, you can see that this has got UV inputs, and that kind of gives you a sign that, you know, the lens distortion is changing the UVs of this. So instead of this, which is scene texture, this is just taking the viewport basically and changing the UVs of it. So instead of changing the viewport, we want to change one of these texture sample parameters. So I'll call this pre-pass. Oh, that's just a bug with my level, but that's cool. And I'll just hook this up into the UVs, and then hook this up into the color. This might be all I need to do for this one, because it's already a post-process. And yeah, we can see my preview is showing that it's acting as intended. But you might just want to double check that you got post-process checked. You got that output alpha if you want to output alpha. This one we don't need to, but and then blend mode, you know, that will come up as you can change that to masked. It's generally those settings, really.
Quick question then.
Hey. Yeah.
Is there a way to make it so the entire, I guess, media plate, the final version of it is semi-transparent, that you can see through it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's try work that out. So I guess you're
overlaying over a material that's already on the plane, or do you have a transparent?
Yeah, there's a few.
Plane. This is something new that I'm doing with my new setup. I'm referencing the plane for the transforms, but I literally just have the plane, so it's transparent. 'Cause I don't care in my situation. I don't care about the reflection, so that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you essentially like wouldn't have this in your scene. You'd just have the comped element instead, right? Yeah, yeah.
The plane's there, but it's
unchecked visible.
It's transparent. And the reason being is that the actor myself is so close to camera that you're not really going to see any of those like peak shadows or anything like that. So I figured it's just more simple. Just in the future, I might add it, but for now, it's just kind of just overlaying over the background, but a little bit of semi-transparency. Another thing I should add, I don't know if this is going to affect anything, but I do have a screen that's displaying gameplay or videos, whatever. It's going to be behind me as well. So that's another comp layer. It seems to be working so far. So I think I just got to update my material that you're showing here to give it the hologram look on the actor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we could definitely look at adding a second screen. Like I've kind of got that kind of setup going on here at the Mo. So, but yeah, for this transparency, there's a few ways you could do it. You could either add it to the existing kind of VHS material that you've got, or you can add another material, I reckon, which would just say take this pre-pass and then add, you know, a slight add a blend between a kind of opacity blend. So let's check this out. So for the VHS material, I'm guessing what you could do here is find your opacity, wherever that is, and what I'd usually do is just like pop this out so I can see what's going on. And which one was I using? VHS, sure. And you know, I'm assuming it would be a multiply. It's a bit on the fly, I'm not sure. It might be a bit of trial and error here, but see how this goes. And then I make that a parameter, and then we can just see it in real time. Continue without. So that's giving us a bit less opacity. Let's check that alpha channel. Okay, it's looking like it's not carrying through to the alpha, maybe? Oh, it is a little bit, okay. So yeah, there's one really quick way you can do that. I was also finding, I'm just trying to think of a more interesting way you could do this, because it might not come through in the best kind of way. Let's see how it looks here. Loads of effects. Okay, so yeah, you got a bit of opacity there. You could also look at maybe like a curves. I mean, yeah, that's a cheap and cheerful way to do that. But I wonder if you add like some saturation as well, which I think is actually desaturate. Just to the opacity layer, you know, so you're not going to affect the colors, but the alpha channel will be saturated. Let's see. Just experimenting really now. That's probably not really having an effect. Okay. What does this do if we pump the actual color into the alpha channel? So we get a more interesting alpha kind of map, you know? Maybe put it here. So you get some more difference in, you know, some bits are more transparent than others by the look of it here, which is a little bit more what we might be after. Then do the desaturate, maybe. See, that's quite cool. Parameter, call this like alpha mask sat. It's fine. Sorry about this bug with my level saving. Alpha mask sat should be over here. Yeah, you get a slightly more interesting alpha blend there. And then this should still be a slider, right? Maybe I need to hook that up. Okay, so opacity, that should then be, let's tidy this up a little bit. Opacity should then be taking this again, adding this. So now we might be able to get like a bit of that and a bit of that. Oh, maybe not. Oh, 'cause that's not hooked up. So that needs to be this instead. So yeah, it just kind of shows, you know, blending those things, you can get some more interesting kind of opacity. I actually think maybe that original just opacity slider could have been a bit better. So is it just leave that on 1 potentially?
Yeah, thanks again for showing this. Looks pretty cool. I think this is gonna work for me.
Cool. Yeah. Hopefully that works for you. What was your other question about having a second screen in there?
Yeah, I guess just a final thing. Just show you're probably using like the owl comp material for the final comp. Does that sound right? Could you just show? I guess I'm sure it'll work, but if you use the over node, if you should be able to overlay the hologram comp layer over like a screen layer with like a, you know, it could be anything on.
Sure,
I just wanted to see the work transparency. That's the only thing I would be concerned that maybe there's some kind of weird issue with that, but I guess it should work.
Yeah, cool. So you mean if you were to have this effect on a screen as well, like this one, for example?
No. So just picture like there's a screen behind the cat, and the cat's got like a little video playing behind the cat, so he's kind of like a little bit on top of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I usually do that just because, again, I don't care about the reflections. I usually just do it
flat over
in the owl. I just select the I do the 2D parameter, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just name it so it matches the final layer.
Yeah. Very much. So I guess we could move this to see if that kind of works in your kind of scenario. So it would look something like that, and then you want to look at lowering that opacity, all right? Of this layer.
Yeah, just see if the if the cat's semi-transparent, if you'll still see the
thingy behind, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So transparency here. Loads of effects on there. Okay, just need to rehook up this opacity thingy. So that was just this one. Opacity like lower. So yeah, is that the sort of effect you're after? I can show you the transform path for that as well.
Yeah, no, that looks good.
Yeah.
I don't know if the transparency that's being shown through the cat is from the material that's on the plane, or is that probably just from the compositing pass of the screen? I would imagine that's
so
or a combination of both, maybe in some cases.
So the in CG cat is now hidden. So this is all comping stuff now, you know. So this opacity is purely based off of if you go to the media plate, just this opacity slider on the VHS effect. So you know, if that's 0, cat's totally gone, and then you know it's all based on the comp there. Okay, so he's popped up in this material, and that's just because I have an extra erode on there. So it's kind of like, so even if I set this to not visible, it had the same effect. Where, okay, so I need to do it for both of these. Visible. Okay, I don't know why it's done that. But essentially, yeah, even if that plane was totally hidden, yeah, it's all going on in the comp. So it's just based on this slider. And then I'll show you the transform pass for this as well. So yeah, something like that. And then yeah, for the overall transform pass, we've got this one, and it's really actually not loads going on here, which is quite good. So start back here. Starting with grabbing your CG. So you just got your CG going in here. You've got back screen 1, so that's the actual screen capture kind of screen. That's going over the CG. So, you know, imagine that without the cat, that's all there. Then we've got just second overnode with media plate 1, talent 1, which is the cat. And that's going over everything else again. So, you know, if we were to take this off, no cat, just add this on, cat's there. And then down here, this is just my foreground elements, like my desk here. And that needs inverting. And so to start with, this back screen needs to be behind the desk. So we need this alpha channel there. And then combining it with this CG, I'm not sure even needs to happen. Let's see. Okay. Perhaps that's... if we look at what that looks like, I guess it's combining the mask. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. If we were to just do this one. It's looking the same, right? So just that one in there. I think that should give you the same effect. Yeah. So I don't think this needs to happen here. I think I might have been testing that out for something else, so it can be even simpler than that. You know, it's just your foreground matte elements. If you've got them, that needs to go into the mask at both those instances. So you're masking off the background screen and the talent. So yeah, simple as that. And then, you know, with these, you just set your texture parameter, and you can set it as the same name, like matte, or even if you don't set it as the same name, you can just go into your transform path where you've got it and just select the right layer from the drop down. So, you know, you can go mad and just select whatever layers and see what happens, but you know, that's how you can load those up. So yeah, that's the transform path for that as well. So then I would like to show kind of maybe like showing and hiding these on like on a button push. I'm not sure exactly how you do that, and it might be a whole can of worms for this stream. Might be something to cover in another stream, but you know, enabling and disabling on a button push, or maybe there's like a set opacity of material. I feel like it's a bit more complicated than that, but you know, that could be quite a cool thing to cover next time. Yeah, I think that pretty much rounds up all this post-process stuff. It's really cool because essentially any material that does kind of post-process effects, you know, it's only a small step to bring this into Composure. As I showed here, you know, you can just, if you've got one of these going in and giving a pre-pass, then that's usually, it's essentially just taking the input of the image before the effect and then doing whatever effects you want to it. And then as long as you got this set to post-process domain and you've got it set to output alpha if it needs to, and you can get pretty experimental with how you overlay stuff.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for doing this again. There's one last thing I'm looking to solve it's an issue in my current setup. You don't have to do it today if you got to run, but maybe you can speak to it quickly. I have a screen. I'm using the exact screen that you have there. But for whatever reason, one of the settings, when I overlay the comp on it, the edges of the screen sort of have like a bloom effect. You can just see like the border of it. So I don't know if that's what you guys were using the erode material for, is to try to hide the edges of it, because you obviously don't need the very edges for the reflection to look somewhat decent. And in my case, the reflections that I'm using, there's like roughness on the material, so you don't even really need a high res reflection for it to look good. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. I could show you in a second once it loads. Because I've been having this issue. I don't know. I've tried all the different DLSS settings, and when I have a video playing in my viewport, it's always just jaggedy and it's artifacty, and everyone says it's a DLSS setting, but I've tried everything, and you can see like the render target looks clean. That's getting pulled from OBS, so I'm not sure what's causing. Maybe make yours full screen so I can see it better. Yeah, with compression and that over Discord, it's probably hard for me even to see it.
Right,
but yeah,
right.
It doesn't look bad from what I'm seeing, but.
So someone found out something recently. I can't remember exactly what they did, but if you go in the Compositing Toolkit chat, it's literally like the last thing. Just before your last message, actually said he's got this. He's been using MIP map settings, and I need to look at it properly, to be fair, but I think it's like in the render target you can set MIP settings. So what that is like when it's further away it will be a lower res, so I think this kind of, again, I don't know if you can see because of the compression and that, but it's like it's squeezing a lot of detail into a small into a small area. So it's even though no anti-aliasing is happening, it's got to sum up that amount of detail in some way over the the amount of pixels that it has. So yeah, this MIP setting is really promising. I guess it comes from where am I even getting this from? Here. Okay, so let's just look at it with another render target. I got a screen one? Yeah, nice. So, using that render target now. I don't know exactly what it was, but yeah, you got MIP gen. Let's see. Generated a 10 level. Sharpen 10, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. It might take some tweaking and just like trying some of those settings, but if that's sort of part of the issue there, like as the text gets further away, it's a bit it's doing moire pattern, yeah, this kind of stuff. Then yeah, MIP settings we could look into. I'll get a bit more of a solid answer on that soon though, but it's something to do with that. As for like blurring around the edges, is it kind of because you have like say this?
Sorry. I think it might be like a post-process thing.
Okay.
I think I have it. I'll show you the comp. Can you see my screen at all?
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Just the final comp? No, this is not the final comp. Oh, it's interesting. You can see the. How do I view this one? Okay. So yeah, that little edge, that little.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know.
I see.
It's like I just need to make that material like.
Yeah.
Lightly eroded or something.
Yeah. So I could show you. I've got a bit of an erode hooked up in in my project. This might be what you need. So you've got your in-game render target going onto this screen as well. So then for that material, I've got it on this.
This is on the actual screen itself, is where you put the erode nodes.
So on the in CG material, not the comped one, but the
Yeah.
in CG material. I've got this hooked up. So this is erode alpha, and I can add this to a paste bin quickly. So you could just copy this from paste bin and just paste it into your material. But yeah.
Would this work for a screen though that's spread over? Because I think the UV is like I don't know if it's like the whole thing. I don't know if it'll work.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I can do it.
Because as you increase the erode, you'd expect, I guess, the borders to.
Yeah. So
Smaller.
I'm thinking even if the alpha channel is just a full square, hopefully it would bring it in. You know. Yeah. So I just need to add this material on here. Composure. Screens. Where did I make that? Here. Cool. See if we can do this erode alpha. Oh. So let's use this material. Basically gonna lift all this stuff and try it here. So I guess I need to make this masked as well. Okay. So we've got this for the color. It's just emission. Why am I getting this error? Oh, linear color. So alpha channel. Yeah, okay. So alpha channel can go there. Don't really know why I need that there, but that's how it's hooked up. And then and this. Okay, so that comes out of goes there, and this comes out of here. Oh. Then this input will be this render target, screen 1. So for some reason it needs this text input instead, because it's like this erode alpha requires a text. So instead of just a texture sample, I had to do this, which is like yeah, just that. I don't know, maybe text object. But yeah, I can send you this material anyway. But
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's in. Is this erode materials in?
This is with shared project stuff anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it might be built in. I think when you have Off-World Live installed, I remember seeing a erode material somewhere in the.
I think this was. This wasn't from our. So yeah, there was the erode for the video plane placement. You got an erode slider, but I think this was from Composure materials. I kind of lifted this, but yeah. So basically, that needs to go in there. Yeah. Then adding some emission potentially. Like that.
For the reflections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this reflection effect. It looks so cool, especially in my scenes.
Yeah.
Just like a dark room, and it just the gameplay is just gonna constantly be changing the color of the room based on
Yeah, it's looking really awesome, and it's kind of a really nice, simple but effective thing. You know, you don't have to do too much, and it completely fills the room.
Set up just basic.
Yeah, definitely.
Showing off the real time lighting, I think is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny because like if you make one of these scenes with like awful live or Unreal, like there's no reflections in your scene. It just doesn't look physical.
Yeah, definitely.
So like everyone's probably using reflection somewhere.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just like anything that's like dark and emissive is just cool, isn't it? Reflective materials and emission. Let's see if this does it. Okay, I don't think that is. I don't think that is. I think again that's something I can like go away and figure out. But yeah, it's got to be, if you just bring that outer edge in a bit, then that's.
I could probably, you know what I could probably do? I could probably just make a mask.
Yeah.
Will just mask over like the border of it, so it's.
You could do it that simply. Yeah, you could make literally a just into the alpha channel. Yeah, just do a 1920 by 1080 image and just bring it in a little, or even you could downscale it a bit if it adds to like a performance issue. You know, you could even have a downscaled version, something like that. Yeah, it's definitely just bringing in that opacity around the edges. Totally
I just want to show you one last thing. It'll take 10 seconds just while your eyeballs are on my screen.
Yeah, sure.
So on the left, or obviously this is running an editor.
Yeah.
So you can see the media plane there looks fine. Everything looks good. There's no artifacting. But for some reason in the background comp, yeah, look at this. You'll see just screen, just it looks. And again, for the reflections, it doesn't matter when I'm using this for reflections because you're not going to see that layer. But for instance, that's why I kind of ditched my hologram. Originally, I wasn't going to use Composure for my hologram effect. I was just going to have an in-world element. But I was getting all of this tearing. So when I tried to use a matte to overlay it over the screen Composure, it just was not working. So I don't know what setting if you're going to, after the fact, you can message me in chat today or tomorrow and just, I've tried all the DLSS settings. I don't know what's causing this. This is
happening in your.
It's pretty bad.
Comp, or is it just the background? Is this just the CG element, or is this the whole comp?
I lost you there.
Oh, sorry. Hear me now? Hello? You got me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you. Can you hear me? Strange. Hello?
Okay. I don't know. It might have been on my end. I didn't hear anything you just said after.
Oh, weird. No worries. So that was your background elements, yeah. And that's...
But in editor, it looks fine, so...
Yeah, very true. I think that is to do with the fact that you're rendering it to a second render target at the same time. That is why it looks fine in editor and not in. So it's worth trying hiding your viewport like on runtime. See if that fixes. It might not be what you want to do all the time, but hiding one viewport, it might give your it's like a GPU thing. It will give you more resources to render the second render target. So
yeah, I just hit disable editor viewport rendering and it didn't change anything.
Didn't change it?
Runtime viewport rendering is already off.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a compression thing. It's weird.
Very weird. And this, yeah, it's one I can.
Save that for another day.
Yeah, one I can go away and look at. It's an interesting one. I mean, so you're getting it only on your kind of screen material though, right? Not your whole scene.
If I add other items into the scene, I bet it's probably the whole scene.
Right, yeah. So it was definitely an issue for skeletal meshes. Skeletal meshes are kind of weird like that, but it shouldn't be the whole scene. Yeah, we can troubleshoot that a bit more. It could be, I wonder if there's a way you can give me some like steps to try reproduce it as well, or or send over your project file or something, if you didn't mind. But yeah.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for the ideas of what to stream. You know, it's a really useful one. It's a cool thing to do. So.
Yeah, I try to post my streams when I'm going live, because I pretty much exclusively use Offworld Live now when I'm live streaming, at least when I'm using my PS5, because again, I don't have to render the gameplay on my computer, so I can spend all my resources on the Unreal Engine and then OBS,
nice.
and that's all I need.
Yeah, that's a cool. I didn't even think about people streaming from non-PC gaming. That makes a lot of sense. You get a lot of resources.
The last thing I want to try to attempt in the coming months is a 180-degree live stream. So you would have the comped version of me, then you'd have the gameplay in one view.
Yeah.
So someone in VR could actually watch my VR live stream in VR. I think it'd be kind
and have some control of it.
interesting.
Oh yeah, in VR.
Yeah, they could just look around. So they could look to the right, and there could just be a screen of like just the gameplay. If they want to see me, they could look a little bit to the left, and there'd be me and the gameplay. So kind of give them options, and then the chat would be there too. There'd be a chat overlay in the world. So it's perfect when you're in VR. You don't have to look at your phone to look at chat. It would just be right there in the 3D.
It's a good way to give some choice to the viewer without having to like code in any like Twitch chat integration or anything like that as well, isn't it? It's literally just it's all there rendered. People just choose what they look at. Yeah.
It'd be pretty novel too. I don't think anyone's done that to my knowledge. So.
Oh well, yeah. Love to see how you get on with that. Should be really cool.
Yeah. I don't know if my computer can handle it, so I haven't looked into using the Dome Master thing yet, but that'll be for another time. But for now, I want to get this one up and. Working, and then
it's a really heavy one, especially if you start comping as well. Like Composure is already such a heavy system, and then 3D on top of that. It's definitely a performance bottleneck at the moment, but we'll see where things go with it. See what we develop, see what Unreal develops.
Well, hey, thanks again. I got to run, but I appreciate it. I'm gonna go back and watch this from the beginning and try to tweak my scene and see if I can get it up and running. Well,
yeah, let me know how you get on. And then, for anyone watching on YouTube, shouts out Virtual Steve. Check out his streams. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, thanks again, mate. And, let us know how you get on.
Will do. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.